Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good morning. Thank you for starting your day with us on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, where we say it as it is. Thank you so much for linking up with us at this lovely morning. It's the 12th day in the month of December, and we're inching closer to the middle of the month. The season is fully upon us, and so is the Harmattan. Do well to clothe yourself very well, especially for the toddlers. This time, give them warm things to take and give them warm clothing too. Well, so I mean, for us here also, Emmanuel is the child of someone, so am I. So our parents also should care for us, and we should care for ourselves. Emmanuel, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Femi. Good to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us, our viewers and our listeners at home. It is the youth health season, 13 days to Christmas already.
Oh, you're counting down already?
Of course, I'm counting down. I can't wait. And there's the fog, there's the cold, and of course the dryness later in the afternoon. So do well to take care of yourself so that you don't add health issues to the number of issues already bedeviling us as Nigerians in this country. Thank you for joining us once again. Remember to follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook and Instagram at Western Spring Television. On YouTube is at Western Spring Television, and please remember to subscribe to our channel. But on Twitter, it's at WSTV_NG. Good to have you join us again this morning.
Interesting times, Emmanuel. So, I mean, it's sort of a roller coaster. There is the cold, the Harmattan in the morning. By the afternoon, you have some dryness.
Heat, yes.
By the evening, you have some sweltering heat. And all of these roll together. So you need to find a way of managing, you know, different times of the day, how you cope. But then for kids, please do well to give them warm food, warm TV like, and, you know, warm pap, which is really a good substitute in this part of the world. It's very important. And I won't stop saying this. Coming in again this morning in that very deadly fog, I should say. You have to slow down to the last, you know, for you not to get it. But I met people again on the quays very early this morning in that cold. I mean, old men and women who are to queue again because DSS instructions perhaps have not yielded all of the total results. We understand that it maybe has some impact here and there, but then it's not yet uhuru. We hope that our leaders are able to fix this. Emmanuel is counting down, so are many people counting down to Christmas. We should not have the Yuletide in this manner at all. We should not.
Yes, of course, people should be able to enjoy themselves. I mean, it's been 11 tough months. You know, this year has really had its up and down. And now it's time for people to relax. They should have all of the things that will enable their relaxation at their disposal. You know, petrol, prices of food should at least come down, you know, and power supply. In this part of the country, I think we have steady power supply to an extent.
To an extent.
Yes.
I mean, by the Nigerian standards.
By the Nigerian standards, yes, we have steady power supply. But we hope that all of these issues are resolved. We hope that the NNPC, the DSS, and the government, they put their heads together and bring about a solution to the issue of fuel scarcity, because it's really, like we've always been saying, the emotional, psychological, and physical impact, economic impact
is huge.
Is huge. A lot of persons lose their early morning customers in shops. Some get to the office very cranky, and they take it out on their colleagues and all of that. So it's something that has to be solved.
All right, so well, let's give you the newspapers this morning. We'll be back with the newspapers. All right, thank you so much. Let's begin with the Punch newspapers this morning. The Punch is still fixated on the withdrawal limit, and the banner headline is "Withdrawal limit will cripple campaign funding, say parties." With the riders, parties to write CBN for waiver, say cashless policy will choke political process fundraising. If Buhari had no access to funding in 2014, he would never have been president, says the PDP. Policy will create logistic problems. Paying party agents nationwide will be difficult. ADC, ADP. So those that will be affected the most are coming out to talk now.
Eventually.
Yeah, so I mean, last week our focus was on the SMEs, small business owners and whatever. But the real people that will be affected here saying, please, this will not work for us.
Of course, it was only a matter of time before they would come out to talk. We're analyzing it on Friday here in the office, and then from our experience on field, the amount of cash that is in circulation on election day is very huge. It is sometimes worrisome. You begin to wonder, how did people have access to this much cash? So it is going to create a problem for them. They would have to withdraw in advance, before the election. And like the ADC and ADP are saying, paying party agents will be difficult.
They don't pay them electronically,
No, they don't. It's by hand, because that way you can, because Nigerian politicians are devious, and that way you can monitor who exactly deserves your money, and who is working for you. So they pay them by cash, by hand. And if Buhari had no access to funding in 2014, he would never have been president, says PDP. Well, that would mean that he had access to some, and the president had always said he wasn't very much buoyant enough to come out for election. But overall, the parties will be really, really affected. And I think it will also help enforce the campaign spending limit by INEC.
By INEC.
Yes.
I mean, so interesting days ahead. The different angles to these withdrawal limits by the CBN, pressure from different fronts, National Assembly. Now political parties are asking for a waiver, or if you like, a reversal of this policy. But we'll get to see, and we'll wait to see how it pans out. Else, just below that story, oil production hits 1.18 million barrels per day, highest in 7 months. Some good news there, Emmanuel. Some
very good news, but
from the lows of
ironic.
August, what have you? This some cheering news.
Of course it is. It means that we really, some of the reforms and policies put in place by the government are really yielding results. We hope that it doesn't go down, it continues to go up, so that we can meet our needs, especially in the face of foreign fuel scarcity.
Well, talking about reforms, I think many will say this is a direct consequence of bringing in government Ompolo Ekwomokolo. Because, I mean, his company has been at the forefront, of securing the waterways, securing pipelines, and then dealing with pirates and oil bunkers. So it appears that this is a direct effect of his entry into the system.
Well, we shouldn't have gotten to the point where his entry will be needed in the first place.
I mean, so a non-state actor policing state facilities.
It's embarrassing, if you ask me, that we have to rely, because it's now a matter of, some people see it, using a thief to catch a thief. I don't know why they believe that, but if you have to involve a non-state actor on such important government infrastructure, because it simply shows that you have failed, and then you're trying to appease those who are somehow involved to help talk to their colleagues to reduce their involvement. And of course, it is a reflection of his involvement, but the involvement is not pure in its own.
Oh, okay. So interesting, but at least it's yielding results. The consequences of these actions may be felt in the middle to long term, because, I mean, if you now decide to withdraw the contract again, will those guys return to the problem that they are fighting, issues like that? But the bottom strip of the paper, NNPC raises major oil marketers from 7 to 27. 15 drug dealers caught in notorious Lagos community. That's the bottom strip of the paper. Just beside the nameplate, debt servicing to gulp 123% of 2023 revenue. And 439 foreign trained doctors failed assessment exam. MDCN. I can't understand Boko Haram phenomenon, says Atiku. 33 states lack sandfields. Dispose waste openly. Report.
Yes, article there saying it cannot. I watched that his town hall, debate on Channels Television yesterday, and I think I picked that part too, where he said he can't understand, but he was talking from the place of not understanding why it is still a problem, considering the resources at the disposal of the government to fight them. So he's saying that if he gets to power, it will not be an issue. He will be able to solve it, but that he cannot understand why it's dragging for so long. So that's what he meant there.
Well, so I mean, that'll be that for the Punch newspaper.
All right, away from the Punch newspaper this morning, we'll move on to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper, Monday, December 12th, 2022. The banner headline says, foreign airlines retain 200% high fares. Stranded fund hits $551 million. The riders, there are tough choices for travelers with 2 million naira, 3 million naira economic class tickets. Nigeria tops countries with highest blocked funds globally. Carriers get $120 million, not $265 million from CBN, says IATA. Lawmakers urge understanding as travel experts task FG on obligations to airlines. There's a number of riders under that story. Foreign airlines retaining 200% higher fares. You wonder why the government is not doing enough to repatriate some of those funds that are stranded in the country.
Well, so, I mean, it's obvious because we're short of dollars. You know, we can't even get dollars to finance some more critical needs of government, let alone, you know, these other people. You know, it's in terms of parity. Unfortunately, these people will not be in the top 3 or top 5. So it's a direct consequence of the fact that we do not have enough. We are not liquid in that regard. And so government try and prioritizes and say, okay, let's settle this one first, this one first. If you look at the number of persons studying abroad who are, you know, applying for Forex to pay school fees abroad, it's huge. If you look at those who are trying to get medical attention outside who are applying for Forex, so a number of areas, and manufacturers also go, you know, a lot of people, you know, paying that. It's just that we are not producing enough, or we are not making enough money in terms of the dollars to actually service all of these our needs.
All right, that's that for the foreign airlines. Below that story, analyst prompt Buhari on Nigeria's priorities ahead of U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit. And at the bottom strip there is the weekly security review from December 5th to December 11th, 2022. You can see that on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Now above the banner headline, below the nameplate, to start from the right, two Borno councils under Boko Haram control, says Speaker. A very, very worrisome, story right there. You have 2 councils under Boko Haram control, then there's a big problem.
I mean, the administration has talked about the fact that it's liberated most part of Borno and what have you, and that, but it is coming from a senior government official that 2 local governments are under the control of Boko Haram, you know, sends alarm bells again. We should stress that a lot of gains was made, but then it appears that we've fixated on Boko Haram, but it seems to be a deadlier force in ISIS and ISWAP, who are also carrying out attacks and holding territories, evidently, from what we are seeing here.
Well, away from Borno now, a similar story. Terrorists attack Kaduna, Katsina communities. That's on page 9 of the Guardian newspaper. And Nigeria, 3rd most improved country on African visa openness ranking. That's on the Guardian newspaper. And there you can see on the panorama page there some accolades for the Guardian newspaper and its work as reporters. Well, that's all on the Guardian newspaper this morning.
All right, so let's go to the Daily Trust now. Daily Trust newspaper, as this is banner red line, bloodbath in Southeast. Police mobilize against IPOB terror. For the riders, how 24 were killed in Imo, Enugu, others. Witnesses, Miyetti Allah. We are in panic. Northerners in Southeast. Division in separatist group over sit-at-home order. Agitators digging abysmal pits for themselves, Ohaneze. And you get the picture on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning is the picture of the funeral prayers in Jos Plateau State for one of the people killed by gunmen at Umuna, Imo State yesterday. And inset of that picture is the deceased, Awal Abdusalami. Very unfortunate, very dangerous situation in the south. There's
and actually very unnecessary.
Killed. Yeah, very unnecessary. And you might will be shocked at the fact that those who are stoking this fire, those who are instigating this crisis, live abroad.
Yes.
You know, before Nnamdi Kanu was brought home, now facing trial. There's also another guy, Simon Ekpa, who is in Finland, who is stoking all of this fire. And so you wonder, I mean, I saw some people push back on Twitter who are Igbos themselves. So you can't just sit over there and then ask people to shut down for 5 days. Where do you want them to get food? And how do you want them to survive? But then you see those people sending in, stoking the fire, and they are not part of the mayhem here. How do you just spray fire, fire into a crowd of market because you said they should not come out? Some of these things fly in the face of reasoning, and it's so sad. And I was also asking a question as to what is the Nigerian government doing? I mean, there should be some level of cooperation between the Nigerian government and the government of Finland to try and rein this guy in. I mean, the Samuel Ekwa guy, and get him perhaps to mellow, because if you're calling for destruction in your homeland and in the safety of that area, you ordinarily wouldn't have been able to do that within that country. Yes. So what's the Nigerian government doing, interfacing with the Finnish government, or even perhaps Interpol, to manage the situation? But it's also unfortunate. Needless loss of lives, needless, and the dimension here is also attacking northerners.
Yes.
That could precipitate a bigger crisis in other parts of the country. There are lots of Igbos who live in the north, who live in other parts of the country. You can't continue, and this is not the first time, you can't continue to kill. You're putting your people in other parts at risk. This is sad. This is sad.
It's very sad, considering the fact that there's even a division in the separatist group itself, and that's how branches are burned. Before you know it, one person forms an EIPOB or AIPOB and then breaks away, becomes an IIPOB, and becomes an even deadlier separatist group. And it's really speaks to the fact that people like that, insurrectionists, play on the gullibility of average people, gullibility and illiteracy. Because you cannot tell me, for instance, to sit at home for 5 days because you have a problem that I probably do not share.
Or even if I have a different approach. I have a different, approach, thinking to resolve it.
So you want me to sit at home for 5 days? I can't do that. But we have an overwhelming illiterate majority.
And then because they've not employed fear.
Yes,
they've
and
employed
serious
death,
propaganda.
Sorrow, to enforce the sit at home order. So some people ordinarily would not sit at home.
Yes.
But because of the gunmen roaming the streets and killing this people. Is to instill fear, in the minds of the
people.
Even
at motor parks. I think around April, I was in Awka, the Anambra State capital. I did go out. I went out on that Monday, and I saw that it was complied with to an extent. I mean, where I was close to the university community, and then people wanted to come out. But in other parts, I heard that there were shootings and all of that. And I was wondering, why shoot your own people?
I mean, people you claim you're trying to liberate.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the figure is quite high. 24 people killed over. I mean, this is a shame, and it also speaks to the fact that the political elite, perhaps in the Southeast, needs to do more. Emmanuel, if you recall, we had something similar to that in the Southwest with Sunday Igboho matter. While there were, genuine angst and anger about the security situation in the land, there were still voices of reason who are cautioning against going that route. There were a lot of people who supported, but it appears that the political elite here were able to manage it a bit better, because it's some level, and because the governors also seized the initiative, brought in Amotekun, voiced out concern, spoke openly against this. Maybe we need to learn.
Restored confidence.
Yes, restored confidence in the people, and took the wind off the sail of people who are pushing that separatist agenda. And
it's funny because in the Southeast, there have been reports of some governors using the Ebubeagu, which was their own version of Amotekun, as political tools to hunt political opponents. So if those kind of allegations are coming up, it means that people don't even expect the Ebubeagu to protect them. So they want to take law into their own hands.
And so the unfortunate thing here is for those who perhaps are supporting this mindless carnage, you never know until it gets to you.
Yes.
Because sometimes the bullet does not watch out for who is going to who's going to hit. So I've had people who supported, some evil in the past. That evil came to visit them eventually. So be mindful of what you support. Be mindful of what you justify. I mean, that's just what that's about. Under the nameplate, 89 trillion naira stamp duty recovery move sparks controversy. New cashless policy will discourage rigging. That's from Sanusi. 13 injured, 23 houses razed in Jigawa Headers attack, and gunmen abduct 16 wedding guests in FCT. Ganduje's X-Men to lead NNPP governorship campaign in Kano, and bandit kill 21 in Bauchi, Katsina.
That's about 4 different stories of killings and abductions. You know, we did speak about the situation in the FCT, I think some days ago last week, where there were concerns about the number of terrorists or insurgents that are infiltrating the Federal Capital Territory. And now they're abducting guests at wedding ceremonies. Well, God help us. We did say that nowhere is safe rather, because after babies were abducted at the hospital. You know, people going to weddings are being abducted. People going for funerals are also being killed and abducted. It's really scary, very, very scary. All right, we'll move over to the Nation newspaper. I think that's the last paper for this morning. The Nation newspaper. The banner headline says, Wike, same faith, not reason to dump South's candidate. Tinubu Shetima ticket will be fair to all. Our reset economy for faster growth, says Tinubu. President drums up support for APC candidates. And you have a picture of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu there in Ibadan, or your state. Ipman to get petrol direct from NNPCL. Oil giant in move to end product shortage. That's on page 8 of the Nation newspaper. And then at the bottom strip, NDLEA seizes drugs in powdered milk, baby food at Lagos Airport. I saw some videos from that seizure yesterday. And even in speakers, music speakers, the drugs were put in there. So I saw a video of the NDLEA opening those speakers and bringing out the drugs in baby food, powdered milk and all of that. People are getting really, really desperate and much more devious in carrying out drug smuggling these days. But kudos to the NDLEA for doing their job perfectly and matching the people, the smugglers, strength for strength. Above the nameplate of the Nation newspaper, Lekki Deep Seaport promoters shop for $800 million to link rail line. That's on page 7. Presidency defends Emefiele over alleged 81.9 trillion naira stamp duty collection. That's on page 4. And INEC begins PVC distribution today on page 4. And Niger Deltans slam Atiku was sent in Okowa to Jonathan. And that was expected. The Niger Deltans have a very, just like the Yoruba people, have a very high regard for their elder statesmen. And they feel that it was a slight on Jonathan's part.
Atiku should come himself.
Yes, to send someone who would ordinarily defer to Jonathan on a normal day to come and beg him. It's like sending a child to beg a parent when an adult could have just come around to beg. And, you know, I was reading on social media that when Jonathan was to recontest in 2015 or thereabout, he went himself to meet with Atiku and ask for his support. And now that it is Atiku's turn, he's sending his running mate instead of doing what Jonathan did earlier. And, well, the Niger Deltans have been slamming him, you know, for sending Okowa, who is surprisingly one of their own, to the elder statesman.
Well, so I think some of the reactions also stem from what happened back then. Yes. You know, some of the misgivings then. But they are politicians. They handle their issues, of course. Really. Yeah, below the nameplate of the Nation newspaper, nobody can split G5 allies, says Bode George. Tambuwa's overture to autumn futile. I won't vote for Atiku. PDP chieftain vows. That's on page, continues on page 23 of the Nation newspaper this morning. Well, a lot of issues still coming out from the PDP. So, I mean, there's also a story just below that. Pay salary arrears owed by Agbeshola, Ocean workers tell Adeleke. But interesting days ahead. I mean, so workers are very, very interesting, and their loyalty are not permanent, really. It's yes. Sort of shifting. You know, it's who orders their bread, who takes care of their needs that they really follow. But about the drama, I mean, Wike saying the same faith, not reason to dump such candidate. Is that a conclusion on who is going to support? You know, is that saying that his candidate is going to be from the South, for going or for closing, you know, the possibility of actually supporting Atiku Abubakar?
Yes, he's just made a very strong statement that can be misconstrued or that can be a thinly veiled.
But does he
support.
care anyway?
Well, it doesn't. He did attack Yakubu Dogara over the weekend for, according to him, not staying in one place, saying one thing and doing another thing. I think he was asking a question: Would they beat you if you say something and stick to it? But now saying that same faith is not a reason to dump South candidate. You know, Wike has been a pro-South candidate person all along, and that was the reason he gave for joining the race. And now saying that same faith is not a reason to dump the South candidate, it means that he may be tilting towards Tinubu Shettima at that same faith ticket that is headed by a Southerner.
Well, so did you see that BBC interview with the head of Wike's band?
Yes. Surprisingly,
Sensational Bamidele.
Yes. Surprisingly, is a gospel
artist,
Christian artist
okay.
that I listen to.
You do?
I listen to
but you never connected?
No, I never did, because I probably didn't expect that he would be fully involved in politics. You know, so it was until he had an accident recently, and then Governor Wike's band leader involved in an accident. I saw the pictures. I was like, this is this person. And then I saw the BBC interview. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he is. He's a very good singer.
He is.
Very good singer.
Energetic.
Yes. And he's a miniature Wike. Is a Wike of
but you know,
music.
I mean, he said something that was an interesting quote that I got. I mean, the last part, if I get it correctly, was saying, oh my goodness, drummers know they follow fight, they follow them fight, something like that. I was just trying to. That was a smart way of saying, well, I'm not involved. I'm not fighting his battle.
Yes.
You know, so if, I mean, even in a wrestling match, you have drummers who try and whip up sentiment and, you know, everything like that. But such a good guy, and he's very, very creative.
Yes.
Because most of the things he does are on the spur of the moment, spontaneous, you know, and, you know, he gets to flow with, and he gave different instances as to what sometimes the governor's mood is down, and then he just, but what struck me most, and many other people reacting also, was that he's not even from Rivers. Though, I mean, by now you could claim he's actually, you know, from Rivers, but Bamidele Adeko, I was shocked. And even his pidgin looks localized to that area, so perhaps he's been there for a long time. He speaks
more Ijaw and Igbo and Yoruba. His Yoruba is poor.
He's poor. Really perhaps he was born there, but he's done very well for himself.
Yes.
And, you know, transiting from gospel, I know some people will have issues with that, really, but he's been able to manage that well.
Yes.
For some people said, now this guy, they caused the war line within the PDP.
Yeah.
They say, now you just follow Wike.
Because you know, the risk in that is by the time Wike leaves now, he may become no longer in demand, because I don't see Wike running for any political office.
Then he will go back to his gospel.
Yeah, he will go back, but then, you know, these are the issues.
What are the issues?
The issues in Christendom. I hope they discuss it on Sunday. Yeah, those are the issues.
All right, well, I'm afraid that's the much I can take as regards the papers this morning. We'll take a break. Hopefully we'll have our guest joining us then.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewe,
and your sports Amazon, Nengi Ernest.
On this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Evelyn Ohiole, King Eve. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine would be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and he feels so reserved. He really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe he's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the too much attachment to that gender. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? I know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday. They are saying it favors you, favor. Are they vex so?
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Why, you know?
Well, MC Too Much said, he likes saying when I was in the world. And the last time I checked, well, it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, is actually out of this world. We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So, MC Too Much, I beg when you talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk about I kiss my words.
I think they have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach so much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving a blatant display of egoism. Because at the end of the day, a man who is secured in his words, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
According to the words of Michael Forbes, one who never asks questions either knows everything or nothing. Watch me as I ask the questions you think no one wants to answer. Even questions it appears no one has got the guts to ask. My name is Femi Adefila and I've got the gut. Let's ask the pertinent questions and watch as we get answers.
Can you imagine the feeling when you get your news as the break with facts and clarity? Our news are reported as it is.
In Africa, and all those who masterminded the way it happened will have to pay a price.
Enjoy Western programs, projecting culture and tradition to the world. Brought to you as the break and recapped every hour for your update.
We must never forget the sacrifices of the heroes of Nigeria's democracy.
Produced and brought to you in a unique way never before seen.
Western Spring.
Western Spring.
And Western Spring Television. Television is coming home in your color and culture. How would you like a TV station that breaks the barriers of your TV screen? A TV station that brings infotainment to your forefront, breaking the conceptual fourth wall. Giving you television that is personal to you and your everyday life. Indigenous broadcasting for every man, cutting across the shackles of age, class, and language. With the best of equipment in digitized broadcasting. At Western Spring Television, your television experience has never been this magical.
We bring you the best in news and programs, breaking news to you as it drops from where it drops.
Talk shows that keep you glued to your seats. Sports programs not void of in-depth analysis. Entertainment programs cutting across all ages. Political analysis with all its accompanying controversies. Social responsibility because we care. Western Nigeria gave us our first feel of television. Western Spring Television is taking us to the next level. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's Morning Spring coming to you from Western Spring Television. You can watch us live on Star Times Channel 190 on the DTT platform. You can also check us out on YouTube, Western Spring Television, and do well to subscribe to our channel when you watch us on YouTube. On other social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram is at Western Spring Television, and on Twitter is at WSTV_NG. Well, we're joined live via Zoom this morning by Ahmed Tijani Mustafa. He is an APC stalwart. He was a former special assistant to former Governor Rauf Aregbesola here in Osun State. He's a member of the Presidential Campaign Council of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Spring this morning, Ahmed Tijani Mustafa.
It's a pleasure to be here always.
Hello, good morning. Hope you can hear me.
I can hear you very clearly. It's a pleasure to be here always. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Well, so less than 80 days, 76, 77 days to the general elections. Activities hotting up across the country. And, you know, the main front runners here, some big bats between them. But let's talk about Asiwaju's appearance at the Chatham House and some of the reactions that are trailed that appearance. They talk about delegation, about the fact that Asiwaju again made a fault part, at that event, that he was asked questions. He's one applying directly for the job. So why is he asking other people to respond? How do you defend that, Mustafa?
Well, there is no defense, because when you say I'm defending, it looks like he has done something wrong, and then we're trying to put up some kind of argument for the action that he has taken. So the use of the word defense is not apt in this sense. So what I'm going to try and do is to explain his thought process in this. The job of a president is not a one-man job. You need a team of people. We've come to that point where we realize that having one person as a messiah, the I can do it mentality, is not going to take Nigeria anywhere. So you need to have a team of people. And what Asiwaju has done is to show the world that besides himself, he has a competent team of people, because it's not a one-man job to lift this country to where we want it to be. It's a collective effort. And just so that we're clear, the man was asked, I think 7 or 8 questions. He took 4 or 5 by himself and delegated 3 of those questions. We need to be clear of the fact. So when people talk about these things, they make it look as if he was asked questions and he didn't answer any and he just pushed all responsibility to other people. No. What he did was clear. He put a woman, Betta Edu. Betta Edu is less than 40 on the global stage. What that does for Betta Edu is that she leaves that venue with renewed confidence in herself, in her own abilities to lift her nation to where she expects the nation to be. It's as simple as that. I would have wished that I was part of that delegation and the man had given me an opportunity to stand in front of a global audience on a global stage and answer questions regarding my belief and the pathway I want to chart for my nation. That would have been a brilliant idea for anybody who is criticizing this, would have taken that opportunity. You have a leader who is not looking to hug limelight, hug Ghana audio ovation, and is not intimidated by sharing the stage with members of his team. Again, it is instrumental that Nigerians realize that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's name will not be on the ballot. You are voting for the APC. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the standard bearer of the APC. We must realize that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not going to be the one who is going to drive this country forward by himself. So what he has done is to showcase the APC as a party, which is what Nigerians will be thumb printing on election day, and not Bola Ahmed Tinubu as an individual at the end of the day. Because he's going to be president, he's not going to be minister, he's not going to be the SGF, he's not going to be chief of staff by himself. And all these people, no matter how little, play 1 or 2 vital roles in determining how government eventually runs at the end of the day. So it's essential that we realize these things and begin to function accordingly. One of the good things about Bola Ahmed Tinubu is that he's somebody who has seemingly redefined leadership in this country with his style. The fact that certain people have done it in certain ways doesn't mean that's the only way to do it. He's introduced a new system, and I expect normally that other people will begin to follow suit. Before now, there wasn't a women campaign team set aside from the campaign. But Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has come on board now, and the APC created a women wing of the campaign. And I can see other candidates and political parties going the same way. So I expect that with time, other candidates will do the same, and then the naysayers will box in the corner and not have anything to say, because they realize just how brilliant an idea this is. And just for the record, this is not the first time a leader will be doing such. As a matter of fact, a presidential candidate within Nigeria had done something like that, I think at Oxford or at Cambridge, when he was asked questions, and he delegated that authority to somebody else to answer those questions for him. But it wasn't news because, like Asiwaju said, he's an individual who is absolutely marketable. So this is the only reason why this is news.
Yeah, before we come to the marketable aspect of Asiwaju's answers to questions at Chatham House, I'd like to read to you a statement credited to a spokesperson for Chatham House. He said yesterday's event, quote, was not the norm, and our chair was not notified in advance that Mr. Tinubu would be delegating questions. The principle of Chatham House events is to be able to hear the views of invited speakers and also to hold those speakers to account. Now, deviating from the norm, some persons say it speaks to the fact that your principal may not respect certain codes, especially on the international community and the international stage. How do you respond to that?
Well, I'm sorry to say, it's insanity to keep doing the same time expecting different results. Nigeria is at a crossroads where we need to do things different. And Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been known
does doing things differently also involve flouting regulations or codes or
no? Those are not. Those are not. Please, those are not. They're not laid down rules. Those are norms. They are traditions, and traditions can't be changed. They're not regulations that says you cannot do this, you cannot do that. There's nothing like that of any sort.
According to the British think tank, Asiwaju was supposed to seek permission prior to act in the manner he did.
No, I don't quite agree with that, because if you're going to seek permission, it then means that there is a set of rules.
Of
and
course.
You're going to say, oh, I'm going to break the rules. These are not rules, like you said, like the quote you read. These are norms, and norms are not cast in stone. They're just traditional ways that people have been doing things over time. There is no law that says you cannot deviate. Now, this man has come and done things differently. Perhaps now, Chatham House can see the wisdom in people doing things like this, or right now they will now say, okay, going forward, these are the rules cast in stone. Do you understand? And I don't expect that they're going to do that, because it's not a rigid system. I suppose that each individual is allowed to express himself in the way and manner that they deem fit. And Asiwaju has done that. It's not, it might be, well, it is unconventional, but it's not unconstitutional. It's not against the rules to do that. It's not like driving against traffic. No, that's not it. You understand what I mean? So while you might drive a limousine on a tarred road or drive a rickety car on smooth roads, those are not, the fact that this is how they've been doing it is not as though there are rules against doing it any other way. Do you understand? So this is what I've told you about Asiwaju, that is a man who thinks outside the box, always. And he's demonstrated that with his governance style in Lagos. Nobody before him had ever appointed a one-day governor in Lagos. When he did that, people were criticizing him and justifying the unconstitutionality of such a process. But other people have been doing it now, and it has become a norm for governors to reward brilliant students with an opportunity to govern the state for a single day. But before him, nobody had vacated their seat as governor for a single day before. So this is who this man has always been, and he's not going to change. It is also worthy of note that Chatham House is not the first time that Asiwaju is going to put up this style of governance. When he was creating the Lagos business community, he brought young men like Inyabo Eji to come and speak to the policy document. So it's not something that speaks to my point. It wasn't like Chatham House was aware that he was going to call people up. They didn't show him the questions beforehand. And the people that he was going to call did not even have an idea. He speaks to the brilliance of the team that he has. So right there on the spot, he says, okay, El-Rufai, you are going to take this. Better Edu, you are going to take this. Bayamela, you are going to take this. It shows that this is the man who has a bias for competence.
Yeah. I mean, some stuff. So if I can come in here, perhaps it shouldn't have become an issue if not for what has happened in the past. Some documented gaps and some perception that Asiwaju is intentionally avoiding the public glare. I mean, avoiding engagements with the media, attending debates and town halls. And so perhaps for those who also perception, what he did at Chatham House was to cover up that part of him that he doesn't want the public to know, but perhaps he's not lucid.
But his BBC interview totally put all of that arguments in the gutters. Absolutely. Immediately he left Chatham House, he went up the 2 or 3 floors and sat down and had the BBC interview done.
But I mean, he has avoided speaking here in Nigeria. He has avoided speaking to journalists and media houses here in Nigeria.
The man has been very clear as to why and how the engagement will happen. The APC clearly drew out a campaign program for the entire country. And Ashwaju is the only person who has stuck to that calendar that has been drawn. In that calendar, he is not avoiding speaking to the media. There were town hall meetings in Lagos. The media was there. There was a town hall meeting in Kaduna. In Kaduna, the media was there. There was a town hall meeting in Kano. The media was there. There was a town hall meeting in Niger where he met the miners, and the media was there. So there is no avoiding speaking to the media. What the man has said he will not do is to go from one media house to another. He said, and I'm re-emphasizing it, that the Nigerian media should come together as a body and then say, okay, on so and so day, we're going to have it, because there's a lot of work to do and there's very little time to do it. So he can't find himself today on one TV station and then tomorrow on that radio station.
Other candidates have managed to find time to do this.
But they have not managed to speak to Nigerians face to face, as what Ashwaju has done.
Yes, yeah, for instance.
It's a strategy that they are employing. He's employing a different strategy. Just the same thing that happened in Chatham House. It's just a difference in strategy. And people oftentimes are afraid of what they don't understand. This man has stuck to his campaign. He's done open air campaigns. You know, he was in Bayelsa, he was in Delta. Yesterday was in Ibadan to meet with ordinary Nigerians who are going to vote. So I don't understand the idea of avoiding the media that we're talking about. That program in Ibadan, the media could very easily have attended.
Well, it's not about media coverage now. Your principal said in Chatham House that the reason he avoids Nigerian media houses is that he is very much marketable and he feels that they want to make money off him.
No. He was asked
there's a video to that effect.
TV station.
Now, the question is this. Other candidates, even the NTA organized a presidential debate and then put out a statement that your principal was not going to attend for some reason. Now, this kind of debates, town hall meetings that are organized by different media organizations have been attended by other candidates. Some of the candidates that were not even expected to attend. Your principal can be said to be a leading presidential candidate. Avoiding this debate, avoiding these issues, and then granting them to foreign media houses is what people are talking about. They feel that he doesn't rate in the local parlance now, local media, but would readily speak to foreign media.
No, that's absolutely untrue. A few days ago, I just spoke to Channels TV, you know. So it's not about avoiding local media. And we have to be sincere with ourselves. If you look at the conduct of that BBC interview, one of the major high points of it was the professionalism in the way the anchor or the interviewer was asking those questions. And at a point, I had to say to him that people should not ask him questions in an accusatory manner. And this is what practically, my apologies, but the truth has to be said. The Nigerian media has built a stock in trade in that regard. You know, so if and it's not about avoiding the media, just so that we're clear, you know, he has spoken to Nigerian media he has gone to several programs where the media has interviewed him and he has spoken, you know. So if the media wants to interview him, they know how to get him. What the media expects is to have Ashwaju come to their studio, sit down, maybe for a live session. And the man has said, come guys, I have a schedule and I intend to stick to that schedule. That schedule was put out. So you can work with my schedule, look for a gap in between my schedule and fix something. Let it be something unilateral that everybody is doing together, because I don't want a situation where today I'm in one TV station in Lagos and tomorrow I'm in one TV station in Kano, or one TV station in Lagos invites me and I attend, and then another TV station in Abia invites me and I can't attend, and it looks as though I am favoring one over the other. So let's do something. And he has said this again and again and again. You guys come together. There is a group of media practitioners come together and we can do once and for all, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe, but anytime we're doing it, let it be something that is jointly done by the Nigerian media, not one TV station holding. So like you said, the NTA did a town hall, and that TV station will come with another town hall, and that TV station, another radio station will come with another town hall. He can't possibly attend all of this. So let's come together and fix a date and time for this, and then we'll go ahead with it. That statement was released and sent to all the media houses. So at the end of the day, when media houses have his position on this matter, and still go ahead to do what they want to do, and now make him look as if he's one who is not attending. But he's, from the get-go, made his position on debate very clear and how he wants to conduct. So
Well, Mr. Mustafa, I mean, so he's interested. Does Asiwaju Tinubu get to decide or set the rules or engagement with the Nigerian
It's
people?
either
or the Nigerian people that is applying.
No. This is not setting the rules or
get it. I mean, so because all of these debates, the other candidates, for instance, Atiku Abubakar, who's also, a major runner in this particular race, also has also had a very busy schedule, has also been traversing the length and breadth of the country, but has still had time to engage in some ways with the media.
Up till last night.
Femi,
you can
at the end of the day,
yes,
I'm saying to you, sir, if you look at the engagement by all of these other candidates put together in attending to their campaign schedule, because as you realize, all of these candidates had a campaign calendar drawn out. They have deviated from that calendar and have allowed other issues prop up here and there that have seen them practically abandon their campaign calendar. The APC will not do that.
But you said that there is nothing wrong in deviation, that your candidate is allowed to deviate when we're talking about the Chatham House rules. Are you saying now that he's not able to deviate for this particular issue?
It is choice what to do and what not to do. I think we need to come to a point where we're not trying to force ideas down people's throat. This man has been clear. And it's not a question of him saying, making it up as we go along. He has said it emphatically from the get-go. This is what I'm going to do. I intend to meet Nigerians on the streets of Nigeria. If the media wants to organize a debate, come together. Or you can come to the venue of the venues are clearly stated out there. The media can come there, cover, ask the questions you want to ask, run a live interview there if you want to run it there. But I am not going to disappoint the people who are promised to be in their certain cities or states just to satisfy the urge to attend a TV program. It is my belief that I can do my own this way and it will work. And then again, that we're clear. This is not the first time that this will be happening in the world. It's not something that is unknown or strange to us. Even in advanced democracies, we've had candidates who have followed this same particular route. So it's not something new. Perhaps a lot of Nigerians need to do a little bit more research to find out why Asiwaju has taken this particular position.
Well, so, just before we leave that issue, I should ask you, is it really a matter of trust? Because you are also a media personality and you've also worked in the media space. So do you think this is more of a trust issue between Asiwaju and the Nigerian media? Because you talked about the accusatory, style the other time, and that seems to be a valid interviewing technique that even some of the Western media do employ. Is it an issue of trust between Asiwaju Bola Tinubu and the Nigerian media?
No. I cannot speak for Asiwaju personally, because I'm not a spokesperson, but I do not think that it's an issue of trust. I think the man has absolute faith in the Nigerian project, which includes the Nigerian media. I think it's just a question of figuring out the best way to do what needs to be done. And like I said, I'll repeat again, he's been very clear. He will engage the Nigerian media, but the Nigerian media has to also meet him halfway. He's talking to Nigerians, and he doesn't want to say, oh, I'm going to be in Onitsha tomorrow, I'm going to be in Ilorin next tomorrow, and then have to abandon that just to show his face on TV. I think that we need to handshake somewhere in the middle. There needs to be an understanding between the party, the candidate, and of course, the Nigerian media for this to happen. I'm 100% sure. Let me put that. I'm 100% sure that it has absolutely nothing to do with trust. I don't think it has anything to do with that at all.
Oh, okay, yeah. So let's move on from that. Now we want to look at the questions that Asiwaju assigned to his spokespersons. He assigns the question on oil theft to Dele Alake, the question on security to Governor Nasiru El-Rufai of Kaduna, and the question on youth development and inclusion to Governor Ben Ayade of Cross River. Now, some persons are of the opinion that Kaduna is a deeply troubled state when it comes to security and insecurity. We're looking now at the choice of Governor El-Rufai to answer the question on security.
I'm sure that if Governor Kasim Shettima or Governor Senator Kasim Shettima, Governor Zulum had been on that, might equally have been given an opportunity to answer that question. And there are a lot of media biases against Governor El-Rufai. Let's not go into that, But who better answer the question of security as somebody who is currently dealing with that challenge at the moment? While there are unfounded beliefs, it's a question of choice here. And like El-Rufai has failed completely in the area of security in Kaduna. A lot of people have not been to Kaduna. They don't know what the situation is in Kaduna. And what the situation in Kaduna has always been. The crisis in Kaduna clearly have been existent even before I was born, because my little research on Kaduna will tell me that this crisis has been going on for more than 40 years. So it's pretty clear that it's a long-standing issue, and relative calm has been returned to Kaduna under Governor El-Rufai, whether people choose to believe that or not. So I would dare say that there is nobody better equipped to answer the question than somebody who is currently in the eye of the storm. And I thought it was a brilliant choice. This man is currently facing insecurity issues in his state, and so he must have a strategy. You cannot, I don't think, relatively peaceful, or maybe to pose it to some other governor, the governor of Cross River State. His state is relatively not facing as much security crisis as Kaduna is. So nobody is better equipped to answer that question, in my own opinion, than a man who is currently having to deal with those issues at the time. He assigned the question on youth engagement to Governor Ben Ayade. Governor Ben Ayade is, a metropolitan governor. He's young at heart. He's, or even if you look at his budgetary naming staff, he will suggest to you that this is a man who is in tune with the youth. So again, you see the thought process in that.
Yeah, so how about the choice of Dele Alake for the question on oil theft?
I don't think there's an expert on oil theft in that team. So when the question came up, it's a generic question. What about anybody could have? I can take the question on oil theft. I don't need to be an expert in maritime security to take that question. So and Dele Alake is a brilliant individual who has proven himself over the last 30 or 40 years in the Nigerian media space. He's not an unknown face to people, and I'm sure that his answer to that question was beyond brilliant. So at the end of the day, or maybe unless you have a naval officer on your team, then it would have been wrong to assign that question to Dele Alake. If you do, in the absence of that, any other smart person could very easily have answered the question on oil theft. So that's it. I'm lost words as to why we are having to debate who is answering what question. But it's good that we do that so that at least we can make valid explanations for all of these things. Again, this is not the difference. It's just every right-thinking person should get this. And I'm sure that a lot of Nigerians get it. Those who don't get it, those who pretend not to get it, but it's just because we're in the political seasons. And that's why all of this is coming up as conversation. And Nigerians are very brilliant people. I'm sure that they get the thinking behind it, but it's politics. So, these things happen.
All right. So, away from the Chatham House, so now to the BBC interview with Peter Okocha. The PDP released a statement yesterday through Frank Shuaibu, the Special Assistant on Public Communications to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. It's actually been sort of a verbal war between the two campaign councils. But if you check Shuaibu's statement yesterday, it tried to take a dig at Tinubu's claim of inherited wealth and trading in stocks to become rich. He said it's hogwash. Let me quote part of that statement where he faulted such claims here. He said, obviously, and I quote now, he said, obviously thrown off balance when the BBC reporter asked him to disclose the source of his stupendous wealth. APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu responded by asking, are you an enemy of wealth? He subsequently told a fable of how he inherited property and also traded stocks like Warren Buffett. This is complete hogwash. This is obviously balderdash. Tinubu could do well to stop comparing himself with Warren Buffett, whose source of wealth has never been linked to narcotics by the U.S. government. And he also went on at some other parts to say, that Bola Tinubu at some point had said that he was poor as a young man and that he couldn't finish secondary school because his family was poor. So he's now asking questions as to how the family now eventually came back to give him, properties that he inherited. How do you respond to that?
Well, Shuaibu is entitled to his own opinion. I haven't read the statement, but I like the part where you read out. It's very clear. Nigerians need to be very clear. That statement has not proven anything. And Bola Tinubu asked again, while on that BBC interview, you're asking, what is the source of my wealth? He's explained himself over and over and over again. This was a man, I remember as a child growing up in the early 90s, we used to be very proud of having family members who worked with oil companies because these people were seen as the cream de la cream of society. Bola Tinubu had worked with Hastings and Sales, he's worked with Deloitte, he's worked with Aramco Oil, which is the largest oil conglomerate in Saudi Arabia, and then come back to work with Mobil. When we say Bola Tinubu worked with Mobil, people, I think people will think that it's a Mobil filling station that you see on the road that we're talking about. No, it was by no means a Kuba before he went into government. This was somebody who was practically, not single-handedly, but a major financier of the Ladeco movement against military occupation of Nigeria between 1993 and 1999, or 1998, So it was by no means a Dele Momodu attested to this fact, himself. And Dele Momodu is currently with the PDP, so there's no reason for that. I think what the opposition should do is to uncover the lie Bola Tinubu has told one about the source of his wealth. It's not difficult. If the man says he's invested in stocks and his stocks have yielded and he's invested in real estate and he's been paid handsomely by the company that he's worked for in the past, if you know that to be a lie, what you should do, what I would do as an opposition, would be to uncover that and say, oh, no, you didn't inherit any property, you didn't invest in any stock, you didn't. That would have been the right way to go. But to come and say without any claim that this was balderdash. And again, the accusation has been that Bola Tinubu siphoned money from Lagos. And the man answered and said the IMF and the World Bank have investigated Lagos. He's the most investigated public figure in this country. The Obasanjo administration commissioned Malam Nuhu Ribadu, and if you don't know anything about Nuhu Ribadu, is as straight as they come, to investigate Bola Tinubu as governor and even as ex-governor. The Joint Administration did exactly the same thing, and nothing was found. So for them to come and be, and it's the same PDP, for them to come and be repeating the same line to Nigerians now, is because they expect that Nigerians have temporary amnesia and cannot remember how things were when they were in power. I remember, I was a young child, but I remember vividly that Obasanjo had used the EFCC at that time to go after supposed political enemies of his supposed political enemies, and none was bigger than Bola Tinubu at the time. If he had a skeleton in his cupboard, no Ribadu would have found it, and Tinubu would have been put in jail. That he wasn't put in jail, he was tried in Nigeria. The CCB tried him in Nigeria and found him not guilty. It's not as if he's not been investigated in this country before. So I don't understand the continued beating of this drum. But they say if you repeat a lie for too long, it becomes the truth. Maybe that's the strategy that the PDP is looking to adopt. Just don't back it up with evidence. Just keep saying it again and again and again. I expect that people will believe it. But again, like I said, it's the political season. Bola Tinubu's wealth is never questioned until elections come around. He's a friend of everybody until elections come around. And the man has been very clear how he made his money. If you think he didn't inherit any property from his family or he didn't invest in any stock, you come out with that proof. The onus of proof is on he that accuses.
All right. Okay. So, before Emmanuel comes in again, it's less than 80 days to the election itself. Activities hotting up across the length and breadth of the country. A lot has been said about the entry of what is now been described as perhaps the most vibrant thought force since 1999. How much of a threat is Peter Obi and the obedient movement to the aspiration of Bola Tinubu to govern this country, looking at the kind of acceptance Peter Obi has received amongst young people across the country, and the polls that we've had of recent, about 2 or 3 polls, putting Peter Obi ahead of both Tinubu and Atiku. How much of a threat is he to the aspiration of Bola Tinubu?
Well, without any disrespect to the gentleman, Mr. Peter Obi, I don't think he's a threat to the APC. I think the APC's biggest threat, the biggest opponent of the APC is the APC. We're the largest political party in Africa. 22 of 36 governors in this country are members of the APC. So I don't see it. But I must state that I'm very pleased, very, very pleased that the Nigerian youth have become awoken to their responsibility, their civic responsibility in electing their leaders. It has sparked up something that I hope, I'm grateful to Mr. Peter Obi for, and I hope that this awakening will not fizzle out after February 2023, when he fails to secure the seat of president interested in politics, because it is the best for us. Mr. Peter Obi's entry into this political discourse is perhaps one of the best things that's happened to our politics in recent time. I'm beyond glad that this has happened, and it gives Nigerians the opportunity and the understanding that their vote will count. I am beyond sure, because right now, before now, the narrative has been that, oh, it doesn't matter who you vote for, everybody knows. So right now, people are geared up to come out on election day and vote. And I can tell you, we're going to have unprecedented numbers in these elections come February 2023. Unprecedented numbers. Mr. Peter will make a splash, but I am confident that it will be. It won't be enough to bring him into. I have nothing against his person. I think he's eminently qualified to run for office, as are the 2 front runners, and any other person who has fulfilled the mandatory requirements of the law to run for president. I don't think there's anybody who's on that ticket who intends to go into power and run this country aground. But I have chosen to pitch my tent to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, not out of anything, but because I can see his style of governance, what he has done in Lagos and what Lagos has become. And I only wish that the whole of Nigeria would grow at the same geometric rate with Lagos. This is the only way. I do not have absolutely nothing against Mr. Peter Obi, and I'm glad that he's in this race. He proves a point, and it further deepens our nascent democracy. It's a win-win, however you look at it for Nigeria.
Well,
but again, I don't think it's a threat to the APC. He will make a splash, but that's just about it.
Okay, so twice now, your principal has been in the news for being condescending towards other candidates, apart from the presidential candidate. On the 25th of November 2022, it was reported that at a rally, he said that it is a disgrace to mention the name of that one, that he thinks statistics is what we will chop, obviously referring to Peter Obi. And earlier before that,
how did you come to that conclusion?
He had spoken. There are reports in the media earlier about that.
No, how did you come to the conclusion he was talking? He didn't mention anybody's name.
Oh, earlier before that, he had also spoken about the PDP's deputy governorship candidate in Lagos, Funke Akindele, using the same language. Now, when you put all of this together, how does it speak to your character, your principal's character, in terms of respecting other candidates and seeing them as just political opponents and not lesser human beings?
He doesn't see them as less. He doesn't see anybody as less of a human being.
If saying that it is a disgrace to mention someone's name, what would you say about that? That's the second time he's on record saying that.
Yes. Would you let me answer the question you asked me, sir?
Go ahead.
Can I attempt to answer now?
Go ahead.
Okay. So Bola Tinubu has been very clear. He's not going to give free publicity. In politics, it is said that good PR and bad PR, it's all just PR. And this is why I think people need to study Bola Tinubu closely. All of the lies and the propaganda that has been put out against Bola Tinubu, he has not bothered to respond to anyone, because for him, you're putting his name out there. Oh, Tinubu this, oh, Tinubu that, oh, Tinubu this. Remember, on the day of that Chatham House session, there was a town hall meeting that also held that had 3 presidential candidates in attendance. You know, at the end of the day, the talking point for Nigerians on that day was Bola Tinubu. So this is a man who realizes his worth, and he's not going to use himself to market any other person. So him not mentioning any other person's name is just plain politics. I do not think that Bola Tinubu has anything against anybody. These people will meet. He's taking Jam Atiku, but himself and Atiku will still meet at the lounge of the international airport and will still shake hands and still greet. I'm sure that if he meets with Omoyele Sowore tomorrow, they will still greet each other and accord each other the necessary respect. I don't think that that's out of disrespect. I don't think Donald Trump has any personal disrespect for Joe Biden. Even throughout the campaign, he was hitting him hard. I think that's just politics, and people need to be aware that this is how this game is played. It's just plain politics, nothing malicious, nothing intended at disrespecting anybody or belittling them as less than human beings. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. You know, this is just a simple politics. It's not strange to Nigeria, and it's not unique to Nigeria, also, because this is how politics is played the world over. So I suppose that answers your question. Again, let me reiterate that I think Bola Tinubu has the utmost respect for everybody who is in this race with him and any Nigerian at all, irrespective of their class, financial status, religious status, or ethnic divide. I don't think he has a bone in him that would look to belittle any human being. I don't think so. He's been able to associate with the high and mighty, and also come down to relate with ordinary, everyday Nigerians, you know. And sometimes that has not even served his purpose very well. But it is who he is. He's not going to change tomorrow. So that's it.
So which of the other presidential candidates do you see giving your principal a run for his money?
Well, I'm a member of the APC, so I don't see anybody giving us a run. Not the PDP, not the Labour Party, not the ADC. I don't see how. I don't see it. And you might call that my political bias, but those are my earnest beliefs. And I will say it without any fear or favor, that the APC, in a free and fair elections in this country today, will emerge victorious. For reasons that I might not have time to spell out while answering these questions. But the political dynamics and the way things are primed up clearly favors an APC victory in 2023. You know, I am beyond confident that we will emerge victorious. I don't see. I think the opposition. Let me put it. I think the opposition is divided, and that, you know, creates a clear path to victory for the APC. A united opposition would have given us a tough time. I'm a realist, and I'm going to say this. A united opposition would have given us a tough time, but an opposition divided into 3 or 4 parts, you know, makes it almost a walk in the park for the APC, because if Bola Tinubu is going to do anything, he's going to ensure that the APC goes into this election with a united front. All of the fault lines within the APC have begun to close up. You know, if you study the politics of Nigeria very closely, you understand that all of those fault lines have begun to close up because of the caliber and pressing of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So a united APC against a divided opposition, you know, I don't see how they are going to manage.
All right. I'd like to thank you most sincerely, Ahmed Tijani Mustafa. We sure will have you again and again. Maybe next time you come down to our studios, we'll have more conversations in the build-up to the election. But we thank you for joining us on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, so Ahmed Mustafa, they're joining us via Zoom this morning. Is a member of the Presidential Campaign Council, is a stalwart of the APC. Interesting conversation. Well, we'll be getting more and more. We'll speak also to the PDP sometime soon and get to hear. I mean, because yesterday was a verbal war between them And just as the PDP raised the issues, the APC also raised the issues of the PDP. But it's expected. Is era of mudslinging.
Yeah, like you said, it's the political season, and some of these things are expected. We only just hope that these candidates are gracious in their choice of words, you know, and in some of the accusations that they make, and that they avoid stoking fires of ethno-religious crises to ensure that we have a peaceful electoral process that doesn't snowball into violence.
I mean, that's really a very big one, a very important part of this entire process. Well, so that's the interview. That's Morning Spring this morning. Emmanuel will be coming back after the break to give you what's trending. Only God knows what he has in his kitty this morning.
We'll get to find out on Spring Trends.
Thank you. Femi Olanipeku is my name. Good morning.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West. And Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girl got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewa,
And your sports Amazon, Nengi Ernest.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Evelyn Ohiole,
Hi.
King Eve. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine would be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and he feels so reserved. He really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe he's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the too much attachment to that gender. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? I know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday. They are saying it favors you, favor. Are they vague so?
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Who are you now?
Well, MC Too Much said, he likes saying when I was in the world. And the last time I checked, well, it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, he's actually out of this world.
Well, good morning and a happy Monday. Welcome to Spring Trends on Western Spring Television. My name is Emmanuel Ujiadugele, and if you're just joining us for the first time, Spring Trend is where we bring you who is trending, what is trending, why they are trending, and what people are saying about the who, the what, and the why. Do not forget to follow us on all our social media handles on Facebook and Instagram at Western Spring Television, on Twitter at WSTV_NG. You can also watch us live and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. Now straight to business. We'll begin with the Tinubus. Tinubu is in the news again, but this time not the senior Tinubu, but the junior Tinubu. The son of the APC presidential candidate, Sheyi Tinubu, was in Daura to visit President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, a lot of persons have been asking, why did this guy go to visit the president? Why did he go to see the president? And just after that, there was a statement, or before that, there was a statement by President Muhammadu Buhari that citizens are tying that visit to. They are saying that because of what the Punch newspaper reported, Buhari's statement, the president, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, on Tuesday said his government would not allow anyone to use money and thugs to intimidate Nigerians at the polls come 2023. This was, as he said, Nigerians will vote for the leader of their choice in the 2023 elections as they are now wiser and know better. Now let's see what people have to say about Sheyi Tinubu's visit to President Muhammadu Buhari. Now the very first tweet that says, a distinguished Field Marshal General Oluchi says, I think there's more to it. If Buhari is already supporting Tinubu, that's already a done deal to them, right? But why is Sheyi there? What does he need from him that Tinubu couldn't get from Buhari? It just makes you wonder. And then right under there, this person says, Buhari is not interested in whatever mission he must have gone for, if not something that will bring free and fair election. This is what Baba wants to do, and Holly will do by his grace. Amen. The next comment is from Mr. Ogaman, says, considering the fact that we know Bubu hold grudges, I don't think he forgave Bat for the nonsense he pulled before getting the party's candidacy. I also don't think Bubu is supporting Atiku. I'm assuming Homeboy just wants everyone to fight it out at the polls. Last legacy. This person again underneath says, thank you for this. I know the president is ready for a free and fair election. No one, I say it again, no one can change this. The next comment is from Chinyere. Chinyere says maybe he wants to negotiate if he will get 1 billion van of the new notes. Unfortunately for them, Mr. President wants to leave a legacy as the first president to conduct a free and fair election in Nigeria. He do be things. The next comment is from Slow Steady. Aki Abobi Chikwe says, I also think it is important to interrogate why Buhari agreed to see him. If Buhari and his handlers refuse to see him, he cannot be there. In that case, did he come with something for Buhari's eyes and ears alone? A threat, a gift, an agreement? Maybe time will tell. Now, Bonda, he says, look at the desperate plea in Sheyi's eyes. Look at all the pictures. Deep, humbled, desperate plea. The next comment is this person. That's Dari with a picture of Buhari that says, Seyi Tinubu went to visit and prostrate to the same Buhari his father, Bola Tinubu, claimed crying to him in Bodilon. This life, Buhari no send your papa. If you remember the Oshekini Lule, Oshekeji Lule, I'm sure that's what this person is referring to. And from Chuk Dollars, to beg Buhari to allow rigging, vote buying, and other electoral malpractices in the election next year. But Boo stuck to his guns. Let all candidates test their popularity at the polls. Tinubu will be disgraced at the polls next year. That's that. And Honorable Dino, the last comment, says, all this will still make Buhari go back on his promise to have a free and fair elections next year. If Seyi likes, he can tumble and somersault many times to the president. We know he's desperate to answer the son of the president, but they have failed. Now, that's all of the comments on that particular story right there involving Seyi Tinubu's visit to Daura to see President Muhammadu Buhari. Now let's go back to what is also trending. The next story that is trending is Adeleke 1, Seyi Makinde 0. Now, why is this a thing? Why is this even a thing? In the Southwest PDP politics, before Governor Ademola Adeleke became governor, Seyi Makinde was the only PDP governor in the Southwest, and so he was referred to as the leader of the PDP in the Southwest. But then came Adeleke. Now remember that Adeleke is an ally of Atiku. Seyi Makinde is an ally of Governor Wike, who is opposed to Atiku's candidacy and, of course, the chairmanship of Senator Iyorchia Ayu of the PDP. Now, just 2 days ago, Adeleke was named, or yesterday, Adeleke was named as part of the presidential campaign for Atiku's movement, meaning that he has scored a goal and Makinde has conceded one. Now, let's see what people are saying on social media. We begin with the Admiral, Anu Go Obeito, says, same mistake of 2015. Recall in 2015, PDP went into the election with 2 governors in the Southwest, Anoda Mimiko and a younger Fayose. Instead of appointing a younger and more charismatic Fayose as Southwest coordinator, they chose a more mature Iroko. Fast forward to 2022, PDP is going into the 2023 election with 2 governors in the Southwest, a younger Makinde and an older Adeleke. Instead of appointing a more pragmatic Makinde, again, they are settling for maturity in Adeleke. Hey, but what's my business? That's what that person is saying. What is his business with Adeleke and, you know, the PDP choosing Adeleke over a younger Makinde. The next comment is from Sadiq Tade, Premier. Sadiq Tade says, congratulations to His Excellency Ademola Adeleke. I believe in your capacity to deliver Southwest for Atiku. You have always been a winner, and we hope you bring the spirit of winning to the 2023 election. That's from Sadiq Tade. Now, Phoenix Obaslet says, official Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke at Adeleke 01 has been appointed as Chairman Southwest Zonal Coordinating Committee of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. Congratulations, Imole. Governor Ifedelampo Osun says Governor Ademola Nuruddin Adeleke Jackson is now overall Southwest PDP leader, home and abroad. NWC/Campaign Council says. Now, AAA says, timely, the new Southwest leader of our great party, PDP, bye-bye to Wike's PA. Good riddance. Arakunrin says, thanks to the Imole team for their unwavering support to Atiku from day one. Seyi Makinde can now continue his mission with Wike, then lose credence. And on Facebook, Babs Ola says, I hope he has a good advisor. Does he even need it? Because he has very limited time. And I'm 101% sure that the PDP in Osun can never vote for Atiku. Moreover, how does Ade Dancer want to convince the people of Osun to vote for Atiku? Now, Adeleke 1, Makinde 0. Now, let's go to the last story that we have for you today. Yesterday, I was on Twitter and I saw what is Nigeria trending. I thought it was a quiz, you know, that they asked someone, what is Nigeria? But that was not the case. This person, Sher Shinwari, made a post and said, we all Muslim states should create a confederation and name it United States of Islam. The city of Medina should be its capital. And you can see the green part of that map on your screen marked United States of Islam. And Nigeria was part of the countries marked as an Islamic country. Now let's see what people have to say about that. First comment is from Emeka Obiora. Says, what is Nigeria doing in this your map? Are you people okay? Nigeria with the flag is not an Islamic country. The next comment is from Indicator Yakan Fachan, also asking, what is Nigeria doing there? Are you well? And the next comment is from Odogu. Odogu says, what is Nigeria doing there? Are you normal? Abi, you want to make I wipe you Oraimo cord for neck? Please say no to violence. Don't wipe anybody cord on the neck. But Gentleman King says, what is Nigeria doing here? LOL. The issue of religion is a very delicate matter. So if I talk, it go there somehow. But I blame Nigerian Christians, Sha. The more they shy away from these things on the we are peaceful mentality, the more they are conquered. This one says, Bobby Johnson, are you okay or you will eat your nose? What is Nigeria doing there? Please, at this moment, Nigeria is going through a lot, and we don't need this clickbait to stir up religious tensions in Nigeria. And the last comment there is from DV Chris. DV Chris says, what is Nigeria doing here? Please be advised that Nigeria can never be an Islamic state. It is and will always be a multi-religious and cultural country and not guided by Islamic laws. Now, that's the last comment on that particular story. And that's all we have for you on Spring Trends this morning. From Sheyi Tinubu in Dara to Adeleke scoring the first goal over Sheyi Makinde. And of course, reminding us that Nigeria is a secular state. Well, that's the much we can take on Spring Trends this morning. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles on Facebook and Instagram at Western Spring Television. On Twitter, it is at WSTV_NG. I'm also on Twitter at EM Ujiadigele, and on YouTube, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. My name is Emmanuel Ujiadigele, saying have a wonderful Monday.
Can you imagine the feeling when you get your news as they break with facts and clarity? Our news are reported as it is.